Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Ray, it's been reported that FTX couldn't get a bank account for some time. As a result, FTX used Alameda Research's bank accounts. Does this raise any red flags for you, the fact they couldn't find a way to get a bank account?
Well, there's a few red flags. Obviously, the bank situation should have been a real red flag for someone being asked to deposit money into an account that was not the exchange account. Certainly should have been a red flag for customers.
Is Alameda a U.S. chartered bank, or is it offshore? Or the bank that they were using, I should say.
It's really not a bank per se. It's just most of the entities in the structure they're just unregulated entities.
So it's just an entity that passes through money. It's a hedge fund that does things. It doesn't have a bank account per se?
Oh, it has bank accounts, absolutely.
Are they in the U.S.?
Yes.
Okay, so here we have a company that's offshore. It can't get a bank account offshore. It has to come into the U.S. to be able to do its banking business. In other words, and the important part of this comment is that in order for these companies to exist, they've got to be able to change their digital assets into hard U.S. dollars at some point. So they need a bank account. And so they needed Alameda to be able to do that. Is that roughly correct?
Any of the silos had in bank accounts, that certainly exists. Separate bank accounts do exist. I think the real issue here for us is that money was transferred from one account to the other, seemingly without limit. That is the issue.
Okay, you talked about the accounting issues. It's interesting from the standpoint that we're talking today about a problem with these cryptocurrency firms, with securities firms, and we can't have an accounting system that actually works. This should be a really big red flag for all of us who are in the financial services world with regards to the Chinese investments that we're making, and we're not able to get accounting information on those firms. What else is going on with those firms, similar to what the debacle is that we have here with FTX? That's just a sidelight comment. One of the questions I've got is with regards to the Farmington State Bank. This is an investment that Alameda made into, and it's a little bitty bank according to a New York Times article. State of Washington, 26th smallest bank out of 4,800 in the country. They bought it in 2020, had a net worth of $5.7 million, and they dropped $11.5 million in for a percentage of the ownership. Do you know off the top of your head what the percentage of ownership was in that bank that they purchased?
I believe that ownership was approximately 10%, but I can
okay, that's what I've heard too. So therefore, they paid 20 times book, which is off the charts outrageous. So it should be a red flag over the place. Yet they were able to purchase that, even though it's a minority interest, but 20 times book. FDIC allowed that to happen. They changed names to Moonstone Bank. And since then, they've 4 separate accounts have dropped to roughly $71 million, again, according to FDIC data and according to this article. Have you looked at this relationship at all yet to see what's going on here and whether there's any irregularities at all?
We are looking at it. It certainly is one of the things that came to our attention fairly quickly. We're looking at what the dollars were that went from the FTX group to that bank, and we're looking at the connections of that bank to the Bahamas.
Is it the way this all transacted here? Is this common, by the way, that they purchase businesses and dump excessive amounts of money based on the fact they had it, whether it was a good investment or not, in all these different companies? I mean, this looks like a really excessive investment to actually go out and buy a bank to be able to do something with it, stuff it full of money. So I don't know, is there money laundering going on here? Is there some missing dollars? Is somebody stuffing away something in their back pocket to be able to at some point down the road take off with it? Is that what's going on here? I mean, it begs a lot of questions here when you see this kind of activity.
Well, there's a lot more questions than there are answers. Certainly it's highly irregular, and it's what's gotten our attention.
Well, I thank you for your comments this morning, and it's concerning when you see this sort of lack of accounting and you see somebody dealing in this sort of level of money, and there's lots of different companies where money shifts back and forth, and you wonder, by living offshore in the Bahamas, if there's not some faraway bank account that's being stuffed with money we'll never ever find. I hope you do your job and do it well, Mr. Ray. Thank you for being here this morning.